we are.
There we are.
We are starting early because we have I didn't even think, Ed, you were going to be here for it because you're in the middle of all this stuff. This is Hospitality Digital Marketing Live
from Hurricane Matthew.
From Hurricane Matthew. I mean, come on.
You like got the whole Weather Channel feel, like.
Yeah, you got the breezy trees behind you.
Yeah,
you have the it's funny because when I used to run a Hilton in Melbourne, but that's when we had Gene and all the rest to roll through, and the hotel was in a twin towers. It's some of the only two tall towers in Melbourne at the time.
Yep. And
Tori goes over, and fortunately, it kind of skirted us. It didn't really do the damage it expected, which is always good. But he stood between the two buildings out there. We're sitting, it's a beautiful day, sun's clear, and the only place that it's windy that he could get his jacket to flap is between two buildings where the wind was still cutting through enough that he could. So what does he do? He stands on a little hill between the two buildings, so the wind can buffer him a little bit. He's like, "Yeah, I'm here live in Melbourne." This is way back. This is late 90s, and he's over there talking about, we dodged the danger and so forth and so on, but it's still pretty kicking up here. And we're looking outside and we're looking at him going, no, it's not.
I love it. So
what's going on in Orlando, man? What's happening? The mouth's closed, man. Jeez.
Yeah. Fourth time in their history. This one was pretty scary. We were pretty concerned about where it was potentially going to touch, but luckily it stayed off the coast. We were quite frightened because had it touched where they thought it was going to touch, the outer bands of the eye wall would come straight through where we live and where the Flip 2 office is and all of that. So everyone was pretty freaked out. And Tim's got the same problem. Tim, I'm in the middle of a hurricane and I can get on.
I have the same problem as last time.
We are on air.
We are on air.
So click go on air.
Go to the green room, man. Go to the green room first and go on air. Yeah. I mean, Ed can do it in the middle of Matthew. I mean,
ooh.
Hey. So
I think Lauren froze.
So Lauren froze. I think we are live on the air. I didn't have an option to enter the green room. I had an option to go on air. That was the only link available to me. So.
I had told Lauren to take us on air early because I don't know how long I'm going to last here because we're actually in the worst of the hurricane for my area that we're going to get.
No
and
kidding.
my lights are flickering and
So you're in Orlando, right?
I am I'm north of Orlando. I'm in Seminole County.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
And you're holding up okay. There's no.
Yeah, we still have power, obviously. Everyone at Flip 2 has checked in. They're doing good. I think only one employee is without power, so that's good.
That's good.
Come on.
And we've got maybe an hour left of danger, and then we should be okay.
Well, that's good. I mean,
so I thought I'd make it dramatic and have the trees in the background. And
I was really hoping you'd be out like on Satellite Beach, Cocoa Beach, something like that, with one of those beachfront waves crashing.
Be like that guy from the Weather Channel. Yeah,
that's right, Jim Cantori. If he comes to town,
I'm standing out here where all the crap is hitting the fan. And
oh, my lights are flickering again. Yeah. I'm amazed my internet connection is holding solid with the lights have gone out a couple times.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got a nice battery backup. I've got a nice battery backup system on mine though. I had the power go out for about an hour. I still had internet, everything like that. It was like, wow.
Here's the craziest thing is we lose power in the middle of a random nice day.
Yeah.
And yet, we get hit with tropical storm force winds. Standing strong. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
We lose power. We lose power probably 2 or 3 times a summer for no reason.
Yeah,
for no reason. Of course, we were out for 2 weeks during Sandy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember that. That was not good.
Yeah. See, I remember the craziness when Charlie came through here. And when this started pointing right at us, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to Home Depot, see if I can buy a generator. I was still pretty early, nothing. So I check Amazon. So I've got generators coming to my house on Monday. I figure, you know what? I'm just going to hold on to them. You never know.
That was actually our problem with Sandy. We'd ordered a generator, and it got back ordered.
Oh.
And it was actually, it didn't show up till like 2 weeks after we got power back.
Yeah.
And I've never used it once.
Got to imagine Amazon start going, yeah, we need them for Prime now. Get the generators over.
I was checking to see if they had anything for Prime now. They didn't. But this one was order by 5, get it Monday. I was like, done, because with Charlie, it took like 3 weeks for stores to get generators after the initial supply was depleted. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to get them. I got propane ones because I'm eco-friendly.
Yep.
So are we starting with?
We're live.
We are live.
We're live and on air.
Welcome to the weather update.
Yes. Yeah, we're live on air. Lauren is having technical difficulties, I'm guessing, from Texas.
That's where I am. I don't know. It is raining here, so maybe that is really kind of thrown off the connectivity up in Frisco or wherever he lives. So.
Yep. So
while we're talking about the hurricane, I'm going to use it to kind of kick us off, kind of thing. I'm going to post 2 links.
And here's an article, a link. He's going to post a link
to timpeter.com
not about
video of the Atlantis Hotel having its wall ripped off.
Oh no, really?
You guys haven't seen that?
No.
It's from it's a phone feed. Someone opens the door and the entire wall is missing. I mean, because it's a concrete structure.
Right.
So in between, those exterior walls are framing and wood and stucco. Well, that piece got ripped off, and so the whole room's open. There he is, Lauren.
There he is.
So you can make it in the middle of a hurricane, and good old AT&T Universe decides to crap again. Gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Sorry I interrupted you. You were talking about what was going on, Ed.
Yeah, I was just talking about the video going around of Atlantis and the Bahamas and the wall that got sheared off a room completely. Like, Google it. It's amazing looking.
So I just posted 1 link, and I'm about to post another. These are not to timpeter.com.
But you haven't had time? Are you busy?
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard. There's a hurricane
in Florida.
Sympathy pains.
Oh, right. You're on the East Coast.
So the second one is about a story on Today's show on today about Hurricane Matthew and price gouging in the hospitality industry. But wait, the other link I posted, which I posted first just because of the order they were in on my tabs, is that Airbnb is offering free rooms in Florida, South Carolina for Hurricane Matthew. What's wrong with this picture? Gentlemen, go.
Well, on your news article that you just mentioned, I love that they cornered the GM, and his statement was, "I don't run the rates." I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. I'm sorry. General manager. So you generally manage things. To be fair, though, Harris Rosen is running super reduced rates for anyone displaced from the hurricane at all property. I mean, a lot of the hotels here, at least, are doing similar type things. Even though they were only running, because this isn't a busy week, so a lot of the hotels are running maybe high 60s, low 70s in occupancy, but the airport shut down.
Yeah.
So some people made it in. A lot of people didn't make it out. The hotels were instantly higher capacity because of that. What do you do? Right. And then take on top of that families who've been through this before. When last time we had hurricanes come through, some people were over a month without power.
Right.
So you got to live somewhere.
Absolutely. I just think it's ridiculous how because you're right. Unfortunately, the good stories rarely get told about the hotels, right? Yep. You get the price gouging stories get told. And all it takes is one jackass to make hotels look bad. And especially this time, because here's Airbnb saying, we got you covered. It's right. How can hoteliers continually be this dumb?
I think it kind of equates a little bit to how the stock market is handled.
I wouldn't say hoteliers. This is one hotel. First of all, if it was in Florida, that hotel's got some really bad stuff coming to it because Pam Bondi is all about cracking down on gouging when there are emergencies. There's actually a hotline to call in if any gas station, grocery, hotel, like you name it, any of that happens, you call this hotline, and her office personally takes care of.
That's awesome. That's
bringing charges. So whoever that hotel is, by the way, that GM is going to know a lot about it.
And that link does mention gas stations as well. The story I have seen, and I don't have a link to it at the moment, but the story I've seen is $9.99 for a gallon of gasoline and $30 for a case of water.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Pam Bondi's going to have her hands full for the next couple weeks.
Usually does, but that's one good thing that I will say they do here is when you do catch someone price gouging, they get all over it.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Okay. Profiting off of that is just
well, it's just wrong.
It is just wrong, but it kind of goes to like I was saying with the stock market is that you have all this automation in place. There's these auto responses to certain conditions that happen, and you don't have intelligent human people that are making these types of decisions. And so what happens is demand cycle curves up, automation kicks in, or let's open the playbook. Oh, this is happening. Let's jack this up to rack. And they don't think about this stuff.
I mean, I understand the price moving up incrementally because you're going to have employees on hazard pay or overtime or things like that. And listen, no one who needs a hotel in a time like this, I think, would balk at the fact that your rates are 5% higher.
Right.
I mean, that makes sense. It's more expensive to do business during an emergency because you need employees who are willing to forego having, being with their family and taking care of them. But gouging, jacking it up 200-300%, like that's just bad. It's bad business.
Well, the example I saw specifically, I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny, but if you went on Kayak, you saw these were all economy properties. Here's property A for $79, here's property B for $69, here's property C for $89, and here's property D for $495.
And let me guess, it's like a 2-star.
Economy, no F&B. Exterior corridor property,
the remote is glued to the bedside table.
Yeah, exactly.
As is the Bible in the drawer.
I stayed at a place like that last week, as a matter of fact.
It wasn't $495 a night.
No, but it was like 167, and it was nasty. I'll give a negative review for Extended Stay America that I had never stayed at before.
Really?
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that they had actually boosted a few positive reviews, a little review spam.
No.
And it was family weekend for Texas Tech University in Lubbock.
Saw photos of the game, by the way. You had great seats.
Yeah, there were great seats.
Well, they were. Good post.
But the main thing was, I mean, okay, fine, they've jacked up the rates. The problem was, first room we check into, toilet is not working. So that's kind of
that's a requirement.
That's like, seriously? I don't think it says all toilets work.
maybe the housekeeper should check that. And it's interesting because it wasn't a standard toilet. It had this large sort of black, I don't know, something or other. Obviously, either a water saver or some sort of something or other in the toilet.
They,
a mechanical piece of toilet.
They are a franchised brand.
Okay.
Oh yes, heavily franchised.
So we should call Tom Bowie, let him know what happened.
Oh well, no, but it gets worse, right? Ooh. So anyway, we call them and say, there's more. We go, hey, toilet just doesn't work at all, right? I mean, because there's an extra mechanical thing in there that isn't going to function, so it's not a standard toilet micro. So that's fine. So and we know they're pretty much sold out. So go to another room. The clerk, because there's only one clerk, no 24-hour desk or anything like that, right? Goes to another room, goes, oh, just a second. Just kind of in there for a little while. It's like, what's going on? Because she's already gone to the desk and come back with the key. And then she comes out and she's holding wet towels. And you're kind of like, why do you have what? She goes, oh, I just cleaned up.
I don't like where this is going.
It wasn't clean. Oh no, it was clean. And you're like,
so why
yeah, this is very. Oh well, no, I just it was just cleaned up the bath. There was some extra water in the bathtub. You're like, the bathtub isn't draining? I mean, this is not, this is not fitting together. So anyway, we kind of go.
The correct answer was no habla.
So anyway, we go. Well, it turns out that toilet was lit. The toilet is leaking on the floor from the tank,
but functionally working.
Functionally working, yes, but just
and
where those wet towels were on the floor, obviously sopping up the water because a couple hours later there was water on the floor, and of course we couldn't get in. It just like
so they gave you a less broken room.
No, they didn't give nothing. Not sorry, no apologies.
Really? No, he means relative to the one where the toilet didn't work at all. One where the toilet worked better.
The fix was less broken.
Ed, we had been upgraded already.
You had one of those Atlantis style rooms with no exterior wall.
Yeah. So instead, we decided just to leave on the exceptionally loud bathroom fan 24 hours to kind of get the humidity and stuff like that out of the wet towels, because there is no daily room service, right? In an extended or no housekeeping, not room service. Just really horrible experience, and no hair dryers in the room. They do have hair dryers.
Well, no, if you use the hair dryer, you'd electrocute yourself.
Yeah, there's
standing water on the floor.
Right.
Hey, but while we still have Ed, because Ed, you mentioned earlier on, because we jumped on early because you might have about half hour because you have kids running around and stuff like that. It does tie to something that
I'm not going to die by a hurricane, but I will die by my wife.
Oh, your wife will take you out. Your wife will take you out. Yes.
Oh no, Lauren, he's taking the kids surfing. It's really cool.
Right.
He's going to take
in Orlando.
In Orlando.
No, he's going to head out. He's going to head out and look. Oh yeah, that's right.
All right, we're losing Ed. So let me ask you a question.
Real quick, I just want to tie this together to one of the topics that have been dear to my heart for a long time that I threw up in the suggested topics. Accessible tourism has huge potential for more growth. And tying this a little bit to what we're talking about today, it's already a struggle and a challenge for people with normalcy, where they don't have special considerations when they travel, when these emergencies happen. Well, I'm looking at Robert when I say that, and it just doesn't seem to go together. But special needs travelers have so many other things to consider. Here we're talking about just even getting a hotel room, not one that has a refrigerator for insulin, not one that has access, not anything that some people really truly require. And it's a really dramatically underserved market. It's been a thing for me for years. I remember when
it's interesting to bring that up. A friend of mine actually runs a company that does private Universal and Disney excursions for families that have members that have special needs. And he's built a whole business around smoothing that over for those families, like making it a normal experience. Actually, it's better than they don't have to wait in line for anything. And like
that's really cool.
It's better than the normal experience, because the normal experience is your kids are not having a time. You're standing in a line for 3 hours for a ride that takes 5 minutes. And it's good support.
Yeah. I think
so. I love theme parks.
You're taking a little bit into max headroom, by the way, Ed. We talked
a little bit.
Yeah,
Breaking up a little bit.
You're breaking up a bit.
A little bit.
Is it bad?
No, you're back to normal right now.
You're fine now.
It's when the wind blows. It
sure.
Stuff up.
Sure.
I will just want to let you guys know. So I spent the weekend in Puerto Rico.
You are definitely max headroom.
There you go. You're back again now.
You're back fine now. Oh, and now you're frozen completely.
In a very nice pose, though. You look very happy.
Yeah, that's good.
Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Now we can hear you. Now we can hear you.
The storm doesn't want me to talk about what I want to talk about. Matthew. I've been chasing Matthew for a week and a half.
Right, you were in Puerto Rico when Matthew
I was in Puerto Rico for the Caribbean Hotel Association's chief, which I'd never been to Puerto Rico before.
Oh, great place.
Yeah, well, it's most of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Except you don't need a passport. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful property. Again, I can see you laughing.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of it. I stayed at that property.
Yeah. Can I?
Yep.
All right. Anyways.
Where did you stay? We didn't catch the.
I was at the Waldorf. I'll say the short version. Anyways, I was surprised. Yeah, you lost me. All right.
Nope,
Next time
got you.
All right. I'm going to check out because I don't want this to be 20 minutes of technical difficulties. And I lost you again, didn't I?
For a moment. Off and on, Ed. Off and on.
Right. Just a little bit here, a little bit there.
Ed.
All right. Well, I'm going to check out.
Stay safe. Stay dry.
Stay safe.
All right. You guys enjoy. I'll watch the recording afterwards.
We will see you on the other side.
Listen, thanks for making it for this part even.
Yeah.
Hey, exactly. I tried. All right. Have a good one, guys.
All right. Take care.
Bye, Ed.
Okay. So we kind of talked about the accessible for a moment, but Lauren, was there more you wanted to add to that?
Well, I mean, the article was for years when I worked at hotel groups. I was very adamant. I went to a conference way before social media was social media. This was 01, 02. And there was a gentleman talking about accessible needs of travelers. And I went up to him and was like, wow, this is great. You know, social media was just beginning to start, really. And I said, so how do I reach these people? And he says, they'll reach you. It's the true first original social media, social connectivity. Oh, yeah. Because if I have certain special needs for travel, I find other people that have the same special needs, and they tell me where they've had success traveling to and where they've stayed and what they've done because I have the same concerns. And so they have their own network of communication. He says, there's no advertising for this. This is offering what you're available to do. And I have one small sampling of it with one of the properties in Hollywood, Florida, where we just made it convenient and available for people that were traveling and needed small refrigerators and so forth. The demand had increased because of that was astronomical. They didn't even mind that they would pay for the refrigerator. We didn't even charge them for the refrigerator. They were used to paying for the little fridge to come up. But not even charging for it and saying that we had more than just two in the entire hotel of, whatever, made it a huge thing. I mean, the article goes into greater depth about all the other opportunities. But so I went to my hotel ownership group and said, hey, look, we should really feature what we offer, until we really looked at what we had to offer. And then it was, oh, you mean our accessible access is through the loading dock? That's how we qualify? That the desk to check in is really nothing more than somebody swinging a chair around and sitting in front of you with a piece of paper? Wow. Because we hit minimums. And I'm not dogging any hotel ownership group for hitting the minimums, because God knows we had plenty of people running around that were
because it's all of them.
We had a lot of lawyers running around. We had a lot of lawyers running around threatening to sue just because they bump into your wall with a wheelchair going, this isn't accessible. So there was a lot of financial assholes out there, excuse the French, that really caused a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
That word. What was that word again, Lauren?
Assholes. But, and then you had to put pool seats in and all this other stuff, which is all good because it's needed to be done. There's some ludicrousness about it as well, that you could have a therapy pony or something, weird things like that. But the idea of it is that this is a very loyal market that's not price sensitive. They're quality sensitive. They're service sensitive.
Well, and let's be fair. I mean, they're not just being quality sensitive. I mean, if you need the pool seat to be able to go in the pool,
right?
That's not a big ask. I'd like to be able to go in the pool.
Yeah, right. You have a pool. I'm paying to be here to have a pool. I agree with you.
Right. To put this on the digital side specifically. I don't know if you all know this. I think I can talk about this these days. I worked for a company that was sued for ADA compliance for the websites. Yep.
I was there too.
Okay. So we spent years negotiating what we could do and couldn't do. The reason it was such a negotiation was the folks who were suing us, there was an organization who was really committed to the idea that every change we made to the website would be vetted by them before we could go live.
Oh.
And that was just something that commercially we could not accept. So that's where our pushback was.
Right.
What I will say is making your websites accessible to people who are visually impaired, who struggle with usability, etc., has tons of benefits for everybody. It works better from an SEO perspective. It works better from a usability perspective. And so, don't look at it so much if you're looking at this and you're hearing about things like ADA compliant websites or Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1998, if I remember correctly.
It was, I think it was.
We'll have our fact checkers.
Where's Holly? Holly's not with us today. Holly would have this up on the board.
Nonetheless, these things actually help. Not just Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act. I had to look; it was driving me nuts. They not only help the people who struggle with accessibility, but they also help search, and they also help your other customers too. Right. So most of them make good sense to do across the board.
Well, and when you're talking about vision impaired and with the rise of voice interfaces,
for sure,
it certainly is now going to put you way ahead,
absolutely,
of the curve. It was interesting. We had a conversation actually on Wednesday for the HSMAI Digital Marketing Council for the conference committee, right? For the digital marketing conference in February,
coming up in February,
and
plenty of good seats still available.
That's right, exactly. So the program's looking pretty good. I'm handling the view from the top panel, so that's good. So we're going to see if we can mix things up and make that very interesting and controversial. So.
Nice.
But anyway, no, one of the breakouts, I think, right at the end of the call, we were talking about the ADA compliant, and we're going to have that on the program for the digital aspect of it, which I think will be good, because it is. A lot of the hoteliers are just at a loss for it. Go, for the website. Really, we got a ramp over here. No, that's not really quite.
Right.
Not going to do it for you.
And if you're not accessible, like literally, you're preventing people from using the site at all in many cases.
Yeah.
And to Lauren's point, this is a strong community of people who have had to rely on themselves for a lot of years. So, I mean, if they can't book through you, if they can't use your site, if they can't stay at your property, they're going to choose somebody else. So you're really just leaving money on the table.
Well, I had a consulting engagement. This is now a few years ago, probably like 4 years ago or so. And it was a very interesting one, because it was a particular group, a small startup that really wanted to focus on travel for special needs, but predominantly families with kids and kids camps, right? And that sort of thing.
Sure.
All the send the kids here, which is a huge area. Unfortunately, now the individuals involved wound up being somewhat disingenuous at the end, I'll have to say, because they were looking at this. They did have one of them. People, it was a mother with a special needs child, but they were also looking at this, that they could set it up in specific spots and kind of go on vacation there and kind of do this, more like help them out and travel the world.
Right. This was a lifestyle as opposed to a business, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. So that was not so, but they had incredible contacts with people like Temple Grandin. There's a movie.
Yeah, sure.
Things like, I mean, they had these people, and they actually had this very nice kind of bridging between a couple of different political group, how you deal with some of these, because you have certain psychological communities saying do this, and childhood education folks saying do this, and how do you, but anyway, their whole thing was to come up with curriculum and training for these. And I thought, wow, this is great. And it wound up, there were two things. There was a business there. They didn't want to go down, but you could have done it. But when it came to the hotels, they wanted to just tell the hotels and have the hotels do it. None of the hotels would touch it. And you came up with the same thing for the litigation aspect, was the hotels don't want any, a horrible thing to say, hotels don't want anything to do with a special needs situation, because they're terrified of getting sued if something goes wrong that isn't necessarily heard all this lawsuit. So they just don't do it at all. That's the advice of their legal counsel, is just avoid the issue, and you wind up kind of disenfranchising this group of people. So it's a challenge.
Right.
But I really thought there was a great opportunity to do everything from set up a franchise thing where you can vet people in a community, and all of a sudden you can have people who are watching children in terms of childcare, in terms of the camp programs and things like that, where you could go, this is great, and you could probably employ a lot of people, a lot of teachers, all sorts of individuals to really kind of raise the bar. So there's probably a business there, but really tough to get it started, and you need a lot of capital to make sure you have all the legal protections and insurance required in case something goes wrong. And and unfortunately, the reality is that a child has a seizure, which may be something that they have because of their particular condition, and all of a sudden it's not that this the groups helping them or being responsible wind up getting sued.
And that's the unfortunate part. Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's okay.
No, I'm saying that's the unfortunate hindrance. I mean, you expressed a little bit of it, Tim, with your client. I've had the same personal experience. I had this goes back to Key Largo days, where I had lawyers that were perfectly physically fit roll into my hotels in a wheelchair, scrape the crap out of my walls to show that they were a half-inch different on the facing facade to wheelchair access or turnaround. But the lessons learned from that. There was carpetbaggers who made resistance. I also had one of my most defined experiences in my hotel history by a woman who was in a wheelchair, and I put her in my recently renovated accessibility room. And when she came down in the morning, I was there. And I asked her, like, hey, I hope you enjoyed your stay. Please, can you tell me a little bit about the room? Do you like it and everything else? She just kind of quietly smiled. And she said, yeah, it's fine. And I'm like, whoa. I was so proud of the room. She said, you really want to know? I said, yeah, I really want to know. She says, okay, come back up to the room with me. Go up to the room. Where's the coffee maker? Oh, it's on top of the same armoire that we had, up on the top shelf of the armoire. Can't reach it when you're sitting in a chair. Your shower, the ramp that goes in, it's almost a vertical 2-inch, because it complied. It was just a ridge that we put onto the shower stall. And of course, in a wheelchair, that's a wall. I mean, you got to thump over it, kind of thing. The shower was on a rail, but the housekeeping left it pitched high. The hand grip, you put the slide rail, so the hand thing was high. She had to yank it down to get to it to turn it on. And the countertop, we took the drawer out so that you could wheel up to the wheelchair with it, so that you could come up to but we didn't do it with the vanity, so you couldn't get close enough to the sink. So you know what I mean? And I mean, I was just mind blown. I'm like, of course I wouldn't have thought these things. I don't see the world from your perspective. So I went over and rented 5 wheelchairs, and I made my housekeepers work in them for 2 days. Went around the entire hotel. You want to talk about changes that we did in the hotel? We changed railing, chair rails, going in and out of the. We realized that the lobby had a ridge, a waterline ridge. I mean, just little things you didn't notice. It was the most. It really is. It is burned in my brain as one of the fundamental changes in my perception of being what hospitality is. Realizing that you have to see it from the perspective of the guest. Absolutely. She did me more benefit than I could ever thank her for. She left after that. I mean, I told her, I said, I'll fix all these things. And to this day, I don't know if she ever came back or not, but it made a change in the entire hotel at that time.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. I just looked up some numbers because I was curious. So there are 1.1 million people who are visually impaired in the United States, and there are projected to be 2.4 million by 2030 because of the aging population, right? There are 6.8 million people who use wheelchairs or other assistive devices to get around, which that number is also climbing, unfortunately, because we've been at war for 15 years and we've made a generation of amputees and the like. So this is something that I think we have to be real, and we have an aging population. We have a lot of veterans. I think it's something that we need to be very conscious of. Yes, it's a business opportunity, and that's probably the part that's going to be more compelling to, GMs or asset managers or people along those lines. But this is one that I get really idealistic about, and screw the business opportunity. How about we do it because it's the right thing
to do? Yes.
I mean, realistically, making it easier for people to experience our properties, making it easier for people to find out about our properties. We talk about content a lot here. We talk about digital, right? If you have accessible rooms, if you have things that make it easier for people, put that in your content so it makes it easy in a way that's searchable and findable, so that you can attract these guests. Because I mean, 7 million people we're talking about, 8 million people who are dealing with all kinds of crap that, thank God, I don't have to deal with. You don't have to deal with, right? how about we do it not because we're worried about getting sued or some jerk lawyer trying to prove a point, or we're not worried about, any of those kinds of things, but we're just doing a good thing for our guests. I'm sorry if I'm going to be like Pollyanna about this one, but
no,
for the love of God.
The theme of this show now is the right thing and hospitality versus the business, because it's the same thing. Jack up the rates. Why? Because we can.
Right. Right.
Why would we
but that's
that money? Why would we spend all the money on that hotel just for such a small? If there are hundreds of millions of people here, why would we do something for only 10?
Well, yeah, but I'm going to tell you on the price gouging one. Yes, it's the right thing to do, but that's also really stupid business.
That is
because it's ridiculously bad PR.
Right.
And you're going to make an extra couple $100 this time to piss off a whole bunch of guests who will never come to you again. Like that one to me, you can make a business argument apart from the don't be a jerk.
And
right.
And you have the halo effect of people not wanting to travel.
Totally.
Because it's a pain in the ass.
Totally.
Which has been my point on the whole thing with airline bag fees and ultra aggressive yielding and things like that. You go, wait, you are now turning off so many people on air travel.
Yeah.
And the whole
But to go back to one thing about Tim. The people may think that
Ted.
Hey Ted, yeah. Hey Ted.
Have you seen my new thing? Tim Talks.
Tim Talks. Okay, so here the example they gave of a low scale hotel chain, and the perception is that they're the least effective. The people that use them are not going to be your standard traveler for the most part. The people they were interviewing were people that were on the lower income scale that needed a place to go to. Okay. And so they think the impact of their PR, their social strategy, isn't going to be affected because these people who really listens. Okay, if you ever want to know who really listens, go to any of the social platforms that are out there right now and see the volume of people of all income strata that are on it. All income strata. Mm-hmm. And you can't tell me that word of mouth got around about that hotel in that market to those friends.
Hey. Exactly. I'm going to be blunt as I can possibly be, right? I'm going to be as blunt as I can possibly be. If your business strategy depends on the fact that you assume nobody's going to talk about the fact you're a dick, you're not only a dick, you're a moron.
This is the foul mouth show. I say asshole.
Well,
you
say... I mean, no, but you're not only a dick, you're a moron.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. You're not just being a jerk. You're stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
Because TripAdvisor is the most visited travel site in the industry. Period.
Right.
Every other travel site has reviews and ratings. Oh, I don't know. There's this thing called Facebook that's used by roughly 1 billion people a day. Right.
Yeah.
Those people all have friends and family and fans and followers and the like. Right.
Yep.
And so you're a moron.
But nobody will know that you just screwed over a bunch of family, especially a family that can't afford to stay with you the next day because you just stuck it to them. I mean, really. But by the way, you don't set the rate prices, so it's not me, it's somebody else mentality. How far do you think that flies with people, really?
Well, but something Ted knows from his Wyndham days.
I'll have to tell you why I call you Ted in a minute after Robert keeps bashing me about it.
Sure.
After running marketing for an economy hotel brand before Journey's End. I used to work at Journey's End.
And that was before you worked at?
We're good. Say it.
I haven't said anything.
Every show has to have 2 things in it.
No, it doesn't.
3 things.
Okay, anyway, let him finish the story.
Anyway, it was immediately following that job, so it was quite a transition. Which
we did it reverse.
Which my wife has never forgiven me for. So,
right, you went from luxury to economy. I went from economy to luxury. Yeah,
but let me tell you, that parking lot. I've never seen a hotel group make more money than the economy group. I will tell you flat out. But it was new construction, quality product. These things were great. They were inexpensive but really well made, and we were limited partnerships investing in these. It was great business. Second fastest growing business across Canada, across all industry sectors at that time frame. But the the amazing thing was, if you looked at the parking lot midweek, it was kind of the traveling salesman, stereotypical sort of
right, great color guy.
Yeah. Lots of, Chevys and, Fords and things like that.
With the rod in the back with all the shirts lined up. Yep.
Weekends, BMWs, Mercedes, Cadillacs.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because this was across Canada. We were in a lot of secondary and tertiary markets, as well as Center City ones, because people were spending their own money.
Yeah.
Big difference when people are spending their own money. All of a sudden, they're looking at something that's really good value, and we had value nailed, sort of thing. And that's really it. And then you've got to provide the quality of experience versus that price, and that's the bottom.
Which when I worked at Wyndham, we had some brands where that was more true. We had some brands where that was less true. Yeah. But we certainly had those brands where it was absolutely true. Wingate Inn.
Wingate was great. You can find another one.
No, I got others. I have others. I didn't mean to blank. That was not meant as a backhanded joke. I am still a shareholder. But there were a handful of brands that did very well. That did really well with exactly those kind of travelers, because it was their money and it was good value for what they paid. Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Now to go back to what I call Tim Ted. Do you ever have something you're writing that never ends, that you just can't seem to finish it? I've been working
on a book for the last 11 years, so sure, I know all too well about it.
It isn't of the book scale, but it's the debriefing from a previous client. Well, not previous client, but a change in transition of what I'm doing for the client. So I'm doing this huge debrief to Ted Zhang with Derbysoft. Ted Zhang.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So I'm sitting on the other screen here, and I
said hi, by the way.
Yeah, and I've been dragging through the mud on all these things. I keep rewriting it, kind of thing. So as I'm looking at you, I see it, and I see Ted, poof, pops over. But to go to something you're pointing out, Robert, about, I had a really interesting conversation, a friend of mine, about the paradox of choice. We've mentioned it here many times. We've talked about it other times. And what's unique about economy selling, and the reason why it's efficiently better in marketing, is because you don't have the choices. Picture yourself going to a grocery store, as the example he gave me. If you know that you have unlimited funds to spend on whatever you want to buy, you sometimes are in a paralysis of choice, because there's just whatever you like. So now all these other variables kick in, flavor, preference, type, whatever. And so you're standing there staring at it. When somebody walks in and they got a limited budget, they have very specific criteria as in affordability and variabilities that they can choose. Absolutely. So really they're pulling from what they can take. And the economy scale hotels have that benefit that when you come to market, you'd love to be downtown, and you'd love to have a nicer place. The reality is you can't afford it. That dude with the rack in the back.
Hold on 1 second, though.
There's another dimension to that.
There's at least two other dimensions to that.
Okay.
So we always looked at it as being a three-dimensional decision, and I'm going to be the first to admit one of those dimensions is deliberately broad, right? And yes, I am going to do a link to a blog post.
Well, that means we have to do the other two. Robert, where did you used to work?
No. This is a thing that I developed years ago in my time at Wyndham. I have since updated it. We validated that it still works for luxury. It still works for other types of properties. It works for boutique properties and the like. But guests are generally motivated based on the nature of the trip. So this can vary.
Okay.
By three factors. I call them the P's and Q's, right? And the three factors are: price is certainly one of them.
Right.
Proximity is certainly one of them. And when I say proximity, I don't just mean location. I mean, how close are you to the things that they also want to do? In economy, that plays a much, much bigger role, right? Mm-hmm. That plays a huge role. If you're taking the kids to Disney, and it's $10 more to be, right by Northgate as opposed to, by the airport, you're going to pay the $10 more, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is quality, which kind of is a catch-all for specific amenities and the level of amenity that is offered relative to price and proximity.
Well, it's your experience, the overall,
exactly.
It's exactly. Service,
but it's things like if you need a pool because of that trip and you don't have a pool, that's a ding on quality. If you're if you're a business traveler and it doesn't have a business center, that's a ding in terms of quality, right?
Yep.
But I always look at it as and I have a a picture of 3 circles, a little Venn diagram of 3 circles and the like. What tends to be true is for any given trip, any given traveler is going to make one of those circles bigger, one of those circles smaller, based on the needs of their specific trip. Right. So the place where I saw this illustrated so brilliantly was we were doing ethnographic research, which is a really fancy way, for those who don't know what it is, of saying we watched people. Right? We went into people's homes and we went into people's offices, and we had people come into a usability lab to see how they shopped for travel.
And you got sued. And you got sued for having the cameras in the hotel rooms, right? No,
no. They were never able to prove that. And I've been fortunate to be able to do this a couple times in my career and just revalidate what's going on here. And what was interesting was we saw somebody who was looking at properties, something Circle, San Diego, Hotel Circle, right? Mm-hmm. And they were looking at, property A that was, I'm going to make this up, $89. And they were looking at property B that was $99. And property A was a mile around Hotel Circle from all the other stuff, right? And they went, I don't know, $89. That place is in the middle of nowhere, the guy said, right? Mm-hmm. And he looked at the other one. He's like, $99. That's a good deal because look where it is. It's right there. Right. Everything's right. So, but it was interesting that here was a place that was $10 cheaper.
Right.
But it was in the middle of nowhere because it was a mile down the road. Right. So he was able, for his specific trip, to trade off and say, you know what, the $10 is more than worth it because it put him in the center of all the other things he wanted to do during that trip. So, Lauren, what you said a moment ago is absolutely correct, that there is a ceiling. I don't know what this guy's ceiling was, but maybe $149 was going to be way, way too high, right? But within a range of $79, $89, $99, maybe even $109, if he could match the other things, he could make those trade-offs and say, you know what, that's one that works for me. And every time I've done research since then, this just keeps getting revalidated. So this is a really normal customer behavior that we see.
Oh, absolutely.
Again and again and again and again and again.
When we did Neat Group for dynamic packaging, one of the algorithms we had to develop, because we were pretty early in, was what's the best list of hotels, right? When you're putting dynamic packages together of air, car, hotel, you have to figure out what's the best flight, what's the best, car, how's the car rental fit in, and what's the best hotel. So our classic was we really looked at Las Vegas. Because at that time you had the Ritz-Carlton at Lake Las Vegas, which was offering very low rates. So we kind of started off with this ratio of stars to dollars, right? Or dollars per star. And you could kind of go, oh, that's kind of a low amount of money for lots of stars. That's a great deal. But the proximity, if it's way the hell out at Lake Las Vegas and not down at the Strip, did that. So we started tweaking, and then the second spot was San Francisco, things like that. You could start going. So we wound up developing this algorithm that was pretty good. Now it's a lot more. Lots of other groups have much more sophisticated signals.
I'm sorry, because I blanked out for a second. Did I go black from you guys where I looked like I was in the witness protection program, or did I always stay on camera?
You stayed on camera
except you're pixelating periodically.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm looking at the live broadcast on Facebook, and it looked like I turned into the witness protection program for a second. But when it did,
you really need to move over to Time Warner cable.
Kidding. I'm telling you what, this AT&T
where I've got 300, and actually I'm on a Wi-Fi connection.
I was going to say, are you on Wi-Fi or are you on wired, Lauren?
I'm on Wi-Fi. I don't have any wired over to the hub right now.
But even still, like an Eero or something like that.
Ethernet cable.
I'm going to call them up and just have them replace the hub. I rented from them anyway. It's like, look, dude, it's blinking out twice a week now, where it just shuts itself off. So replace the damn thing.
Oh yeah,
maybe they're throttling you because your broadcast. When I had
UVerse in Milwaukee, I wound up replacing that thing about. I can't remember. 2 or 3 times.
Did you bring a perspective in your when you review that? I got distracted. I apologize. Did you bring a perspective as part of the the P's and Q's that you were talking about?
Perspective in what sense? So the answer is no, but in what sense?
Value proposition.
How do you mean?
The way you're saying with the proximity.
This is how you're defining the value proposition.
Okay, because for me, it's like you almost define the Dallas home market right now. People are coming from California selling their $1 million box houses and picking up a 6-bedroom, 5-bath, quarter-acre home for half of what they sold their little box house for.
Sure.
And from a perspective point of view, they're thinking they're just making hay. And the same goes with hotels. Is that for those who've really experienced the luxury segment? Go ahead.
In the Dallas real estate market, though, during the next downturn, they're going to be very unhappy.
Right. And
because again, that's what happened with Dallas. It's a location.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So if you're in the Golden Corridor between Preston and Hillcrest, which runs right up through Highland Park, University Park, North Dallas, that sort of thing, you'll be okay. But the further you get away from certain cores, right? And now, of course, you have some things in Frisco and South Lake and things like that.
Robert, you want to buy a house?
No, but, do it quick.
All right.
No, but that is the real problem, because again, you have such expansive open territory where when things turn down, all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh, there's a lot of supply. But then if somebody's building, they have a big development of spec houses or something that. People
right now, my neighborhood is not to list the house, and in 3.5 days, you decide which offer you take. That's the market time right now. That's how scary it is. But anyway,
but to your question, that's more a question of price anchoring than it is price specifically, right? People have a price threshold that, if you're really cheap or you're super expensive, they're not even going to look at you because they've pre-selected themselves into a certain set, right?
Right.
However, within that, then you can price anchor to say, okay, if this guy's 149 and assume all else is equal in terms of proximity and quality, and they're 149 and you're 129, you're going to win every single time, right? If you're 129 and they're 149 and your proximity is the same, but the qualities are different, they could easily go for the 149 for the purposes of that trip based on what the needs are for that trip. But it really is a trip by trip kind of thing.
It is.
It came up out of the idea. We were talking about the Waze advertisement, and he did his own A/B testing on what he was featuring in the content that he was putting into the Waze advertising. He found that just take price out of it. They're going to find price selections on other platforms. Waze is the method for them to find price selection. So because he was trying to figure
the navigation tool, by the way, the little GPS app.
Yeah, the Waze navigation. I'm sorry. Yeah, to be clear, it's Waze navigation.
I want to make sure we're saying the same Waze. Okay.
Yeah. Waze. It's Google bottom up, but they didn't change them too much. They just ingrained some other good stuff to them, accurate maps and so.
Well, you know why they didn't change it? Actually, remind me why they didn't change it. Finish your story, and then I'll tell you why they didn't change it.
So he tried first featuring his price. And he got results because he was roadside and so forth, budget economy and so forth. But then he started talking about featureability of having coffee machines in rooms. Ironically, that's a feature that has to be identified in some circles.
Oh, for sure. And that plays into the quality, for sure.
Yeah. And so he started featuring not just his specific amenities or breakfast capabilities or what have you, but proximity to choices, ease to get back on the interstate. He started featuring those aspects about it rather than I have a price, because they're never going to trust the price as being a price in the market. They're going to look elsewhere to make sure that price is correct. So he really doubled his value proposition to his advertising campaign in Waze by taking that strategy versus the price strategy, which is why I asked about the perspective thing, because it is about a value proposition at that point. So.
Oh, for sure. You need to be in the correct price range, but within that price range, if your proximity and your quality are better than your competitors, you can charge more.
Sure.
And I mean, that's just a fact. That's just a fact. Yep. You know the reason why Google hasn't changed Waze? This is an interesting, I'm going to make a hard left turn into an entirely different topic here. But when we talk about mobile and the like, Waze is a classic example of matching the app to the use case. Google has Google Maps and Google has Waze. And the distinction between the two is Google Maps is your general purpose. Let me get from point A to point B and find the ways to get there and how long it's going to take and things along those lines. It is a map. It is a general purpose map. Waze is an application specifically designed for the in-car experience. And that's the reason why they keep both of them, because Waze is entirely about the driving experience. The map is The map is centered on the idea of I'm in a car, the directions are, the way the ad units work is entirely based around that. They only show ad units when you're actually stopped, right? Yeah. So it's a very different, and it's a great, I use this in a class I teach for Rutgers Business School about mobile specifically. And this gets right to being very context focused of when you're using an app or you're using mobile web or things along those lines, what is your customer trying to accomplish? And does it actually support that context appropriately? And in Waze's case, Google has kept it separate because there is actually nothing better from a pure in-car perspective.
And boy, is that a good example to lay over to hotels for when you're actually at the property versus the general website or having to make a reservation.
What he said.
Transition to what the experience is about. Yes. And it is the gap. If anything, out of all this hyper focus on the customer journey, which has been the catchphrase for the industry's direction of presentations for this past year, is the gap between acquisition and reaffirmation after departure. But that gap of experience during has been blatantly shown up. We've brought up Alice. We've brought up so many things the property should be doing, and where Airbnb is winning in some circumstances when they should be just the opposite. We have a team of people to provide hospitality. Airbnb has a host, and yet for one person, they're able to defeat Goliath with 100 people. So,
and actually look at Airbnb's most recent product introduction, which are these curated experiences.
Yep.
And Absolutely. That's entirely about what you do when you're there, as opposed to let's sell you a property.
But that is always what Airbnb was about from the beginning.
Oh, sure.
It wasn't about look at this really cool. Now, a lot of it has become that, right? Oh, look at this really cool place you can stay, and that's a little bit more for the professional host. But when you really look at it and go, no, here's the place. A great example. Focusrite Conference is November 14th through 17th.
Yes, it is
in Los Angeles. Coincides with the Airbnb open. Yep. Yes. Rooms are a bit tight.
Yeah.
In downtown LA Live Convention Center area. And what I love doing, and again, when you look at this price gouging situation, just to tie it back to what we were talking with Ed about earlier, when you look at these really high demand periods, I love to go to Hotwire and see, because Hotwire's made Expedia's made a couple changes here and there, but one of the classics is, before, if you had kind of crappy ratings, if you kind of below 50%, you didn't show up at all at Hotwire.
Right.
But now, I mean, I'm looking for November 14th through 17th in the LA Live area. Oh, $92 for a 3.5-star hotel in LA Live Staples Center area, 15% recommended.
Wow.
You kind of go, ooh, that's not so good. Oh, $88 for one that's 30% recommended. Ouch. 3.5-star. Oh no, that's downtown LA, so that's a little bit different. 3.5-star. Oh, here's one. 316, 80% recommended.
Wow.
A little bit of a split, right? And talking about tying into what Ted had just told us about.
That's not going to go away.
It's not.
Great. Now I got to go register tedpeter.com.
Tedpeter.com.
No,
but you know what?
Still, TC Peter still works. They don't care if it's Tim or it doesn't matter.
But you know what?
Except that timpeter.com is a problem. But, if only it just used TC Peter consistently.
Okay, so it goes back to something we said before.
I should point out, I feel obligated to say tcpeter.com. I do own, and it's redirect to me.
Redirect
that's
over.
Right.
So it goes back
as I own robertcakehole.com that goes right to
Markeitng.
Of course. So it goes something back to we said that the hotels and cost savings. How many empty concierge desks exist in hotels now? How many people? The concierge society, the bludgeoning of its attendings, because people, they were letting off their concierges, and so they stopped the fundamental core relationship of a customer experience or guest experience by removing the people that were there for that purpose, and then they just shirked over the responsibilities to their regular staff, and now front desk, already overtaxed, are now supposed to be these people that will spend 15 minutes with a map in front of them explaining how somebody can walk around the corner to a burger, while somebody behind them with 3 suitcases and 12 hours of flight time are just wishing they would shut the frick up and get them out of the line so I can check in and go to my room. So we've done it to ourselves.
You have a bad check-in experience recently there?
Gosh.
Have you?
Pick a day. Pick a day.
Okay. Here, well, and to tie, okay, I'll tie this back into the hospitality. There are 3 important people in a hotel who set the tone for the property: the general manager, the concierge, and the chef.
Yep.
Now, what is the hotel? And again, tying back to kind of the financial interest, the business interest versus the hospitality interest. And again, that's how they set the tone from a hospitality perspective. What's happened? Oh, the chef now works for somebody else because the restaurants, F&B space has been licensed out, right?
Yep.
Same things happen in the concierge space.
Yep.
In a lot of places,
it's now at the
desk.
Yep.
A lot of Vegas properties, a lot of Hawaii properties.
Yep.
Yep. It's somebody else. And as Lauren, so aptly brought up before, the general manager, I don't set prices.
Well,
there you go.
And actually, to go be fair to the GM, not that GM, but other GMs, they've lost a lot of control on what their hotel does, because guess who? When the owner walks into the door, they walk past the GM's office and go talk to the revenue manager.
Right. Well, or the brand tells them they can't do that because it's too good. That's not within brand standard. It's a great thing to do for the guests, that the guests for their itineraries need. And it's something that's high demand. They're getting a return. They're improving the engagement. They're improving the guest experience, but you can't do it because it exceeds brand standard. And you certainly wouldn't want to, have somebody expect that at the next place.
Holly's with us, and I don't know what an answer for the chefs. I think the concierge, and I mean this only from an old article, is I think that the concierge as a society or organization has lost over 40+% of their membership in the past 5 years.
Clé d'Or?
Yeah, the keys.
Clé d'Or. Yep.
I believe it.
And that's why travel agents are still around in existence, because people like the fact that they don't have to do their own research. It's like, look, I want to go to one person that's going to help me, guide me through the process. And Google represents that. We talked about Google Trips app last week. Google realizes, as do other large players, that there's a need for experience enhancement, that there's a helpfulness that can be provided for them in that gap of, now that I've planned to get there, now that I'm here, what are the things that are tailored to my experience? The Today Show 2 days ago brought up that people enjoy the planning or the anticipation of a travel experience rather than the actual travel experience. Why?
Oh, for sure.
Because the actual reality of travel has its bumps and grinds. There's always 2 trips everybody takes: the one they tell people, and then the one they actually experience. The one they tell people is either extremely good or extremely horrific. Everything was the way we thought it was. And they certainly don't tell about the real travel experience. They're not going to talk about the fact that they were fatigued and they waited 15 minutes to get checked in. That's just whatever. But so to that point, I think there is a definitive need that we need to readdress this hospitality engagement during the experience of the people, and not like the brands are doing it, not to stand on the soapbox, by throwing them cultural brand. Hey, when you're here, you're going to feel like you're in the place that we're telling you it is. When the service sucks, it doesn't matter how pretty the walls are.
Right.
Or if the toilet doesn't flush.
Or the toilet doesn't.
Robert, you might know the answer to Holly's question directly. I used to know these numbers. Holly, the big difference you have to watch for is that, select service, there are way more limited service rooms than there are full service rooms. However, if you look at it from a revenue skew, the revenue pushes much more heavily to full service than it does select service, just because of rate levels. So I'm not going to guess at the numbers. I used to know them, but it's been a long time. But it's something like, well, I'm not going to guess. It's relatively evenly weighted in terms of percentage of rooms between select service and full service, and it may actually lean towards full service in revenue, in room count.
In revenue,
in room count, there are way more limited service rooms, but their revenue levels are at best only as big as the full service room.
Yeah, well, and you wind up actually doing hotel count, right? Massively more numbers of select service.
Oh God, tons more. But they might have 49 rooms.
Right, they're much smaller. So yeah.
Right. When I worked at Wyndham, I can share this because it's way out of date. So
statute of limitations.
Your statute of limitations has to have passed. But when I worked at Wyndham 9 years ago, we had 6,500 properties. They were all select service. There were a handful, of mid-scale with an F&B, but I mean, 6,000 of them were select service. Average room count was 59 rooms. Average ADR was $52 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you can do the math and see real quickly, one property in Vegas, had the revenue of, the Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And a third the rooms,
Right.
I mean, all by itself. Right.
I threw up
it's tough to compare like for like in that context.
True. I threw up a link that was in part of the topics thrown around, and this goes back to something you had brought up, Robert, about the survivability. What did you call it? A death list or
the Deadpool.
The Deadpool as to what brands would be there, and I thought interesting.
Oh yeah,
that you probably are watched and listened to by Skift because they came up with that list on explaining the 30 hotel brands and how they saw it. Ironically, so very few were mentioned as being on the auction block, or not auction block, but on the chopping block.
Oh no!
Oh yeah,
they're keeping pretty much all of them, and I don't know. I don't personally, again, from a marketing perspective, I don't like it. I think it interferes with the Marriott brand. But from a pure real estate footprint perspective and franchising all these things and getting a greater density and more hotels into a particular area, it's very smart. Look at Marriott's footprint in New York. They've got 100 properties in Manhattan, right? Hilton has 7.
Right. I assume Tribute is
Marriott wins. There are some that, okay, well,
Tribute and Autograph. I don't get what the distinction.
Can we rip these apart?
Yeah, that's why I threw it up there.
You can.
Okay.
And
some of them.
Do you want to go screen share and just go through the list? You want to put it up as a screen share?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Do your screen share, love, and we'll go sit in the back and play Science Theater 3000.
Okay. Hang on. Start a screen share of.
By the way, Skift claims. I was just reading there. Skift claims. I think Tribute is toast. Skift thinks the same thing. Skiff seems to think that Autograph will also take over the luxury collection. I'm less confident of that personally.
I'm not seeing your screen share, Robert. I see me and Tim.
Hey, I see Lauren and me.
Did you go somewhere, Robert? Did you hit the wrong button?
Thank you, Holly.
Oh no, Holly, if you join us, we look good. If you would join us, you would make us look good. Seriously.
As I told Lauren in a conversation the other day, Holly, I have a face made for radio.
We really did. We lost Robert. Robert, you went to screen share and you disappeared.
I have character. So I'll tell you a funny story. I did theater all through school. I was a big fan of theater always. And a friend of mine who I went to school with is an actor, and he is a character actor. And you know the old line about character actors, which is, you'll struggle till you're 35, and then you will work the rest of your life. When the time you hit 35, if you're a character actor, that's the thing. So sure, I'm a character actor, and I certainly hit 30, and I certainly hit 35, Holly. So I guess I'm going to work forever.
And Lauren's the leading man. What can we say?
Exactly.
I'm a bit part player in a 15-minute show.
So you guys can see me now, huh?
We can see you. We never did see your screen.
I have no idea. I tried to screen share. It took me offline, and then it gave me a choice, and then I don't know.
All right, let me do this. I have it up on the other screen. Give me a second. Let me.
Why isn't Lauren? Well, Lauren, try screen sharing. Well,
and now I see Robert and me, and Robert, I'm sure you see me and you.
Yeah,
we've lost Lauren.
Yeah.
You know what we ought to do?
Following the blab, testing.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I don't. Okay, so
someone has started.
Oh,
okay. All right.
Don't go to that tab.
Yeah, note to self: leave the screen on.
Oh my God. I just saw infinity
and beyond. Okay, so
man, if I lived in Colorado right now, man, that would have been really tricky.
That would have been like Wicked cool, man.
Wicked
right.
cool,
Robert, run us through this list, man. I'll scroll as you talk.
Okay, so St. Regis, they're keeping, right? 30. There's no question. Ritz-Carlton, interestingly, has an exclusive for Marriott Rewards. So, because Bulgari, for example, is not a member of Marriott Rewards, so they're going to have to do some very clever retooling of either talking to a lot of Ritz-Carlton owners about bringing in other luxury properties and brands under the tent, or I don't know what. Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting play for them. Bulgari, I think they keep because that's their hypothetically a six-star.
Well, brand. And they put such a fence around that they're not.
By the way, can I just say one thing about 6-star real quick?
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Well, no. What I say in terms, no, I think there's a legitimate 6-star, but you've got to be you've got to be very small. You've got to be, ultra deluxe, right? 3 hotels, 202 rooms. The interesting thing is that you do have a lot of brands that are going for very, that were traditionally more mid-sized 200, 300 room properties.
Explain to me, Robert. I don't want to derail us, but I'm going to ask this. Explain to me why 6-star exists.
Because I think if you're looking for an ultra, I categorize 6-star as truly ultra luxury. Right, as opposed to a 5-star being, okay, I'll say it, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, St. Regis, those are, with Waldorf Astoria, those are good 5-star properties, generally a little larger, good personalized service, everything like that, but not necessarily ultra luxury like butler service in every room, that sort of thing, where you're really going, Yeah,
but you can get that at the Ritz Paris.
You can't, but I'm talking about the entire hotel.
Tim, actually, in a nutshell, it's our speakers have volume 11. That's why they're louder.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that drives me nuts. I think this is baffling.
Because somebody has to say they stayed at a better place than you did.
Well, no. And I see where you're coming from, because Four Seasons is doing 60-room properties and things like that, right? Which is not really a straight Four Seasons, but they've made the decision not to do sub-brands off, which I think for Four Seasons is a very smart move, right? So there's part of it there, but it's kind of worlds colliding. But I can see with Marriott saying, we're going to do ultra deluxe, really small property. If you go, Lauren, can you roll up? What's the average size of the? So the average Bulgari is, let's say 70. Under.
Yeah, I know.
The average Ritz-Carlton is what, 27,000 rooms for 270 rooms, right? That is a big difference in terms of the overall type. So that's how I kind of.
I hear what you're saying. I think of this as something of what I like to call a baffling smokescreen,
right?
Or BS.
Yeah, exactly. So, but for Marriott, I can see that it's carved out. It's unique. They can say, this is what we do for this small little, and I'm sure Bulgari is going to have, ultra luxury resorts. That's their really small hotel brand, right? So
I know we're not at a point yet to say this, but I want to say this because Edition's sticking up here. I think the gist of it is that they're not going to remove these brands. I mean, they're not. I mean, other than a couple that we'll talk about, I know. Right. But I think they're going to make them dormant, or that they're going to be tailored to people that want to get into a market. That there has to be some end around to somebody else that already has a franchise agreement to another brand. They're going to say, well, let's dust this one off, and why don't you be an Edition and you can do this. That kind of thing. I don't think they're going to push saying expansion. Yeah.
Well, and actually, if you roll back up the top, what do they call these? They're quote luxury. This is, I'm not sure if that's Marriott's term or Skiff's categorization for them.
Yeah, I think it's Skiff's categorization.
But St. Regis is going to be the old traditional grand hotel type thing, right? The more traditional. Ritz-Carlton, I think, is going to be a little bit more modern. But then Edition is going to be more of like the lifestyle, brand. And Edition shouldn't be in luxury, flat out. Just doesn't belong. Neither does W. Neither does JW. And luxury collection's kind of a weird amalgam. I think they will keep that as that's their autograph collection for the luxury, the luxury.
Right. To me, autograph should be 4-star and luxury collection should be 5-star.
5-star. Right. Yep. So that's their soft brand for those. So I think all of those survive. Now, Edition with Schrager, I don't know. I guess they will.
But notice how they phrase that. And this is the thing that caught my eye about this article. Because of whose project it is, it has survivability. It isn't based on market value or opportunity. It's whose pet project that's in a position to keep it alive is allowing it to exist. And to me, it's like, you want to look at the doom value of a brand. That is a spike in the wall when it comes to the doom value of a brand, that it is the sandbox mentality of a brand than it is the rational, better business decisions being made. It just shouldn't be whose pet project it is. Is it viable, functional, and does it serve the owners that own the stock that we have to answer to? If not, it should be evaluated.
Right. Yeah. And again, you look at Schrager, and he's not just doing Edition, right? He's doing other I can't remember the name of the other brand that he's doing. What's the oh crap? It's well, he's maybe they don't even have a brand. Oh, we've got Tim providing background music, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm off camera, so I'm sitting here with my guitar. I do that. Sorry.
So,
like I said, it's Mystery Science 3000. We're watching movies whether we like it or not.
But anyway, basically Schrager's doing his own projects too, outside of Edition, sort of thing. So yeah, we'll see. That was always a weird combination of Schrager and Marriott. Talk about worlds colliding. But anyway, let's get back to the list. So upper upscale, which I just hate, is actually Edition and W should go together.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's that.
And I even wonder how this whole world of W and JW are going to exist, because there is some competitive markets.
Right. Yes. And JW, notice there are almost twice as many JWs as there are Ws, which I think a lot of people don't realize, because that brand really has not been promoted. Yeah.
It hasn't lived up to what it's supposed to have represented either. It's turned into
not at all.
Just a notch above a Marriott in my mind.
Yeah, it's a 4.5 star. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sort of thing. So you got luxury collector. Okay, so upper scale, Le Méridien really shouldn't exist, but again, it's like, okay, it's the French angle on hospitality. That's okay. Marriott, in terms of a large multi-brand thing, they can go play the French angle, and that's fine. So it's exactly, it's the French approach to the W or the whatever. Renaissance should die. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's just not. Yeah. They're trying to make it a lifestyle brand. That's absolutely unnecessary with the rest of
Well, they've made other brands that bleed from it. They've made other flavors that take it away.
That's right. Yep. Westin is a problem because Westins and Marriotts are exactly the same. Only marginally nicer than a Sheraton. Tim, it's time for Tim's solo now.
Tim, I don't know if you know whether you are muted or not muted, but you are very present.
Is it really loud? Is it really loud?
Yes,
yeah, believe it or not, you're coming in.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was that loud. I apologize.
I know.
Robert kept trying to get louder, but you kept right up with him.
I'm so sorry.
I now know what it's like at the Academy Awards when you're getting played.
I feel so bad. This is an electric guitar that is not plugged in. I'm surprised it's that loud coming through.
Well, your microphone's doing exceptionally well. It was pretty neat. It's like, yeah, it is. It's like they're trying to get you off stage.
I was just playing like, I'm just playing a stupid little riff. I'm just doing like,
hey, it didn't sound bad.
That's right. Next week, I'm going to borrow my friend's drum kit and just kind of. I'm going to start with kind of the brushes and stuff, and then just really get
big into the heavy sticks. The heavy stick.
Okay, so I will put this aside. I will put this aside.
Westin is a big problem for Marriott. I think they keep it. They can't kill it. It's too big, as is Sheraton. I mean, those are major, and those were always the problem. That's why Starwood got sold, right? Because that's 66% of their portfolio of very ill-defined brands, because everything they paid attention to under Veteran with Starwood were these smaller, these smaller brands, right? I mean, even it was all the Alofts and W's and things like that. A Tribute should die. That becomes the autograph collection. Most of I think that one will get sacrificed. But yeah, I think it'll be fascinating to see what does Marriott do with Marriott versus Westin versus Sheraton versus JW, and how because with those four you're going to have a really difficult time explaining to these owners that they're really different, and Renaissance in there too. And I would say Renaissance should die. It should become part of Westin probably. I don't know. Autograph collection, that's a 4-star. Certainly the 4-star soft brand. Design hotels is kind of interesting because it's a little bit removed, but it is really a soft brand, and it should. I don't know. I don't know if they keep that and they make that Tribute or something like that, and do something in that end of it to kind of be more design oriented, lifestyle type things, which kind of mirrors I haven't really built out a grid. I was thinking of doing a blog post, just kind of like, the classifications of the hotel, right? Luxury, upper upscale, and then do lifestyle versus convention versus traditional versus modern and all that. But I bet there's a grid somewhere in Marriott that goes, yeah, we've rationalized these 30. Everyone's in their own square.
Right.
But I'm not sure what that look. The executive apartments, that's fine. Delta, sorry, I know it's Canadian, but and I've heard.
It never had a clear identity anyway.
Say that they want to promote it and things like that, but not in upper upscale. I'm sorry, that's the wrong category for Delta. I mean, you push it into upscale, but now you start running into other issues where you've got AC and Element, and you start going, yikes, that's a lot of Gaylord. Certainly, the big convention properties, and that's fine. The big monster sorts of things. Well, spring. You start getting to really interesting things in the suites versus. Even ask any consumer the difference between a Spring Hill and a town place and a Residence Inn.
Yeah,
and you start getting really, really convoluted, weird answers. But again, there are a lot of them. There are 336.
Well, because they can sell the franchise easy to those. Those now you're getting into the early investors to hotel space. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's easy. But again, what's the difference between a Spring Hill and a Residence Inn? And you look there, there are twice as many Residence Inns as Spring Hills. Courtyard, they don't do a thing with that's just like keep it go. That
that fills its niche.
Keep that monster rolling. But again, Residence Inn versus Spring Hill, even before the merger, and you kind of go, okay. The mid-scale stuff, Fairfield, that's your traditional, regular, hotel, very good, select service type thing. Moxie is going to be more your low end lifestyle. Portia is kind of like the Middle East African equivalent of Delta, right? It kind of exists there, but probably they'll probably keep it, but who knows how they'll expand it and that sort of thing. And then Town Place is just kind of like, really, you really need that low end extended service when you have Spring Hill and you've got Residence Inn, and
but I think the AOPs. I think the AOPs is what you're talking about there, right? It's an area protection situation.
Yep. That's it. And there are 270 of them. They don't want to get rid of them. So
and they're not going to make everybody go through FF&E to change everything out and do brand standard changes just to
well, and can they without tromping on AOPs?
Right. They do. Well, they do that, and when they do that, all of a sudden there are massive defections, and all they do is build up, Choice Properties and Hilton and all this other
Wyndham's
stuff.
And everybody
everybody else. Yep. They prey on, which are already trying to prey on it.
Oh God, yeah.
So now, Select Service, Aloft, they definitely keep. But wait, Aloft though, when you really start looking between the Elements and some of these other, even though Aloft, it is really fuzzy. And how did they? Well, see, notice how they put it. They didn't put it in the tier rating. They kind of put it. they put it in its own
select service.
Yeah, select service.
Well, it's select service, but if you go up, you're like with well, I don't know,
mid-scale.
Yeah, I mean, mid-scale select service isn't really technically an STO.
Right. They kind of threw something in between mid-scale and economy.
Right, and so that's real fun. 4 points should die.
Yes. Go away.
That was always the catch-all for the ones that did brand standards. But again, there are 200 of them, right?
Here's the thing, and again, I'm going to go back to my Wyndham days, but here's the thing. They have to go and report to the street every quarter how many rooms are in the system and how many rooms are in the pipeline. Right. That's 37,000 rooms.
Oh, no, it should. Yeah, and that's a problem. So
that's a huge problem.
They need to hang on to them. They're crappy hotels.
Well, they can't make them change. They
can't make them change, or they become, whatever, a Wyndham brand or a Choice brand or whatever. They defect.
I don't know if Wyndham people appreciate the fact that 4 points people, if told to change, they would defect to Wyndham.
Well, let's be fair. And let's be fair. They're not crappy hotels. They are franchised hotels. So there's going to be a product consistency situation. Which
absolutely. Yeah.
True, right?
And so, but a lot of them would become Days Inns. And it doesn't mean they're bad or Ramadas.
Or they would become choices, or they would become, comfort suites or something like that. Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Yeah, and they don't want to lose those. But again, when you look at the brand consistency of what you've kind of got, and again, you've got this kind of matrix that you need to cover off and say, everybody's in a slot. These guys are kind of in, the guys that don't really meet the brand standards for the other. It's kind of this catch.
Well, and clearly they wouldn't lose everybody. Clearly they wouldn't lose everybody. But let's just, devil's advocate, let's say that they did. There is no way Marriott is going to the street and saying, as a result of our merger and, right-sizing our brands, we have to report a 4% decline in room count.
Right. Yeah.
Like the street would beat the crap out of them.
Oh no, but again, these are the guys that when Holiday Inns and Intercontinental, kind of went through their refresh of the brand and went, wait a second, we have consistency issues with Holiday Inn, and now let's go toss these. That's a lot of these guys are that sort of thing, and that was Sheraton. These all mostly got tossed out of Sheraton. Right.
Sure.
At the beginning, they were tossed out of Sheraton because they weren't meeting brand standards.
Sure.
And so then they made a little collection, and then they started saying, yes, bring in your tired, you're weary, you're huddled masses.
but hold on a second. Actually, I'm gonna slightly disagree with you, Tim. I'm going to say that and first off, I think you're right that if they reported a 4% loss in rooms, that the street would beat them up initially. But I also think that was the bane of IHG's decision as well. And that's what dragged them down from being who they could and should have been.
Yeah.
Because they refused to let go of that, which dragged them down on brand identity and proposition. Because if you look at the 4 points, they're probably the least invested in from a brand perspective as to support, improvement, and refinement. They also, because of their scalability, the franchisers, they don't keep a tight line on exactly how they create their own bandwidth of self-serving themselves within the brand infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So I think that it has been the anchor that drags the car from going faster, and that some in the market, however detrimental losing the inventory would also welcome the idea that it's getting better at representing quality brands that are going to
Lauren, by the way, I'm not disagreeing with you. I went through this very process at Wyndham. We cleaned up a lot of product. We also did it in a fairly strategic way, that if we were throwing out, 1,000 rooms in a quarter, we needed to make sure that our sales guys brought in 1,200.
Right.
And if the guys missed their number and they came in at, 1,000, then we didn't throw out 1,000. We threw out 850 so that we could show that there was room count growth quarter to quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm saying this is something that there is no way Marriott can realistically lose 37,000 rooms. 4% of it. 37,000 rooms. Oh yeah. That's bigger than some chains out there.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, they have to be very smart about how they do things like that. I agree with your argument. And one of the main reasons Wyndham undertook its quality initiative was less consumer driven and more franchisee driven. We had a lot of very good franchisees who were like, you guys are killing me Because when they come stay at my Days Inn, they have a great experience, and then they go stay at another Days Inn, and it's crap.
Right.
And then they never want to come back to Days Inn again.
Right.
Yep.
So you just have to be smart about how you do it.
Well, and that's, I think, part of Marriott's strategy, because again, in the Skift article, they pointed out, Sorensen's starting to make some splitting hairs between AC is more of a European lifestyle, product, and whatever, oh wait, what's the other? Oh God, I can't even keep them straight. Right, a loft is more of a Western lifestyle product, and you start going, okay, but then you throw Moxie into the mix, right? And then you throw in all these others, and you just start going, wait a second, this is too crowded just within Marriott, right? And again, well, wait, how many of these 4 Points by Sheraton, right? Do they really want to keep the by Sheraton? They want to be promoting the Sheraton brand of it, or is it because most of the Marriott stuff? And again, when you start looking at rewards, it's Courtyard by Marriott. They never went to the Ritz-Carlton by Marriott, sort of thing. But again, you start getting into that of, well, wait, maybe you don't want to do Sheraton. You want it to be Marriott. But again, it's going to be very interesting. And I don't think they want to have a Sheraton brand is to be on a par with Marriott. And they're going to have branding perspective, they got to figure that out.
Right. They're going to have to do some work to position those brands appropriately, so that everybody understands what makes a Sheraton different than a Westin, what makes a Westin different than a Marriott, et cetera.
And I'll go back to Leo Renahan, who's a Cornell marketing professor, late 90s, stood up at a head conference. Yep, I did. Always.
Bingo.
Bingo. Let's take a shot.
Always at this head in the conference, he stood up and said, and Tim, you may have been there, I don't know, it was like 99. I think it was 1998, 99. Said, can somebody please tell me the difference between a Radisson, a Hilton, and a Sheraton? And it was kind of cricket. And then somebody raised their hand and said, oh, Hilton, you can double dip on points. He said, no. I'm talking about true product. Right. What Ted was talking about earlier. Right. With that whole experience of the product, what is that whole facility service bundle of experience, all that? What's the essential brand? We're talking branding.
Yeah, what's the core? What walks you in the door?
Yeah. And he said, he's not, being a jerk. His question legitimately was, there was a property, and it was either in Syracuse or Ithaca or someplace. He said that had been all three over the last 10 years. And when the flag changed, it wasn't like their occupancy cratered for 6 months while people figured it out, and then a different group of people. It was the same management company. It was the same general management. They just changed the sign. Sort of thing, and that was it. And he said, "So what's the What's the inherent brand difference?" And he basically challenged her. He said, "If you can't answer the question, you got a problem."
Well, you know what the outcome of that was. You know what that led to. In very real world terms, there was a very real thing that happened in the industry about 2-3 years after that, or a year and a half, 2 years after that.
The amenity wars,
and which one kicked it off?
And it was Starwood, right, with the heavenly bed.
Heavenly bed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I saw Barry Sternlicht talk at a conference, and he talked about the fact that they did a study, and they showed people pictures of the rooms. Mm-hmm. And asked them what brand it belonged to.
Yep.
Now wait for this. There were the time they got it right was actually worse than random chance.
Right.
Wow. Wait, no. It's worse than that, Lauren.
Yep.
Okay. You're right. You should be saying wow, but wait till you hear for the other two shoes to drop on this. The first shoe to drop on this was they only did it using their own product. And the second thing was they only ran the study with their own employees.
Oh my God! Wow, that's incredible. Hey,
and they thought, we should do something about this, and that's where the heavenly bed came from.
Yep, and actually, before it was Intercontinental, I think during the Bass years, or it may have even been before, the Crown Plaza versus
Oh,
Holiday Inn.
Oh yeah.
Versus Holiday Inn Select.
Yeah, sure.
Versus all of that. The people within Holiday Inn had no idea. They could not express the differences between these.
I equate to that time because I was in the IHG system around that time as the great fall of the Crown Plaza motif. That Crown Plaza, in the IHG system, to work at a Crown, to have the privilege of working at a Crown was an attainable. People that worked at a Crown looked down on people that didn't. I mean, and they should be proud of it. I mean, I'm being sincere back at the time. But you worked at a Crown. If you had something to do with the Crown, you should be proud in the IHG system. Or it wasn't even the IHG system, but the Holiday Inn system. And that so went away during that time where people were like, y'all suck. I mean, the Crown lost its crown in that sense. Hey, I want to go back to the live screens, but I know this is the one I actually wanted to get to, was the Marriott Vacations Club, because I've had some direct correlation with them over the times of things. What do you think of what they said about the Vacation Club?
Let's see. Well, they've got all these different things, right? All these different sub brands of them. Brandfield Sire websites are terrible, hard differentiating about. Yeah, I think I'm not sure if they're divesting those or not.
Yeah, they're divesting a lot of the time.
I think they are.
I think Marriott's getting out of the timeshare business.
Yeah. I think that whole group is getting divested. I'm not.
Do you think that's smart of them? Do you think that this is a good play? Be a hotelier, not a vacation timeshare? See, I think that I think they're throwing the baby out in the bathwater on this one. I'm not saying, I completely agree with you. I think it's terrible. Their websites are terrible. Their marketing's terrible. Their place and presence and marketing, everything about this, they're doing wrong. But to discard this as a aspect of their ability, I think is wrong also.
Yeah, so I can see your argument. I'll be contrary for the purposes of being contrary. I don't know if I agree with you or not, but I'll take the opposite position just for a second.
By the way, close your eyes. I'm going to go back to that weird screen to put us back live.
Okay. So I'm going to take the
option screen. There we go.
By the way, I decided the guitar should make a cameo since you heard it. But look, it's not even plugged in. Like, that's weird.
Dude,
that was that loud.
I think it's probably just close to your speaker there.
It's a Telecaster.
Oh, I'm a Telecaster player, Robert. That's what I play. That's my.
I see.
Anyway.
All right, good.
Here's the one place where I will support Marriott on this. Having not really looked at this at all, I'm just going to take the contrary point of view to take a contrary point of view. It's 13,000 rooms and 50 properties versus the 1 million rooms that they have, and God only knows how many properties they have of hotel inventory. Stick to your knitting. Focus on what you're trying to be. There is an argument to be made there. I don't know if that's the right argument, but I mean, I can certainly see that argument.
The reason why I bring up that it might be the contrarian idea to this, I don't disagree with you. If you're going to do something, do it well. Don't diversify too far, and you lose the ability to do anything good. I think this whole transition of Airbnb and all the things that are going to be iterations of taxation requirements and so forth that go on, I think that the timeshare modality can be a quasi in-between transition opportunity, and that having a presence already built, the infrastructure that it represents, could be an interesting transition connection to accumulating other inventory. That it doesn't have to be timeshare. I mean, that's just a classification. The infrastructure of handling virgin inventory, is a function. Right. Yeah. I think that's a gateway of infrastructure that can be maintained, not just because of timeshare. As a matter of fact, they're probably the least issue of it, but rather the ability to involve ourselves with other inventory. Just like the Autograph Collection offered hotels that didn't want to be full flag, but they wanted all the value proposition the brand could offer.
Yeah. Sure. But I mean, if you got 1 million rooms, I mean, maybe you want to focus. You want to keep your eye on that specific ball.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
But again, I think you can. I think if they're up against HomeAway, which is now Expedia, and Airbnb and that sort of thing, I think the Vacation Club provides an interesting structure to say, and here's Marriott Rewards, and you can rent a house and things like. I think there's a very interesting marketing angle which they may not. I think
doesn't mean they can't add them as burn partners though.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I think there is a situation though where they've got a problem with 30 brands. They've got to sort that out, and they're sitting there trying to figure out how do they keep all these owners when all of a sudden on all 4 corners of an intersection,
they've
got it's all them.
Oh no, no, better yet than that.
When they start instituting, the clustered revenue management approach to say, here's how don't do that. You're going to pull volume from them, and you got to, don't hurt them. Because again, what do? The next downturn is going to be really interesting when the 4-star owner goes, screw it, I'm going down to 2.5-star pricing, and all those brands in the middle get compressed. Right.
Well, I mean, it actually goes beyond what you just said, Robert. It's just not whether you're on all four corners of the intersection. Look at what they've done to themselves where they have single ownership create cluster branding. I mean, you get a parking lot that shares 3 hotels because the brand owner decided he wanted, full flag, economy, this Residence Inn, Spring Hill, and one parking lot, and everybody knows you stay at one and go across the way and have free breakfast in the other because they don't know whether you're staying there or.
I was in Chicago last week. I've been traveling a lot lately, so it's a little like if it's Tuesday, it must be Cleveland. But I was in Chicago a week ago, and I was in a non-parking lot property, city center property, Hampton Inn, and a Homewood Suites, all one building, and it was just
Yep.
different elevator.
Oh, Courtyard Residence did the same thing in New York. They had the same thing.
They got LA Live, Courtyard, and JW.
Check-in counter. Same
check-in counter, right, exactly.
Anyway, okay.
We are at
Tim would say, as Tim would say, we're at an hour and a half point, and I had a lot of other subjects. One thing that, 2 things actually. One was Robert's article that I don't know if we can get to now, but the other was the spectacles article. Because of its uniqueness, I wanted to throw it in. It was part of last week's thing that I just dragged forward. I have some Facebook stuff I just want to touch on here as well. But and Cindy Estes Green, an article, MetaSearch is a big thing that's coming up. I mean, I thought it was an interesting article that she posted. She's not one to speak about MetaSearch quite frequently. But this article was about the spectacles that is for Snapchat. You guys saw those?
Oh, yeah.
What did you post? Which was the...
I didn't see the Cindy Estes Green article. I've not seen that.
Oh, I'll get that link. Hold on just a second. I'll grab that link for you. She posted an article on MetaSearch. Click. There's site. I have to go back and hit through. Dean shared it with me, and I thought it was very fascinating that it was there. Here we go. Copy link. And
this is excellent. Tim can provide kind of the
interlude music.
Interlude. Yeah.
There we go. I pushed it up in the chat section.
Okay.
No, that's not it. Sorry, I lied.
Man.
No, it's there. Yeah, it is. It's there. She's talking about it. It's the new thing that isn't getting the attention that it should, that it's going to be the dominant force all too soon, which goes to our conversations we've had before about...
Oh, you know my take on this. Nonsense. Bull crap. Never going to happen. MetaSearch is overrated. It's a feature, not a product. Moving on.
With that in mind, there was another article.
Wow.
Ollie goes, wow. The other is Facebook's article that it doesn't want to be the middleman, but meanwhile, they just released their whole new DAT to the mainstream. There's no longer inter modes with just the big boys. It's now available for everybody to use, which is going to be interesting to see.
Before we go there, I've got a question for Holly. Holly, as a percentage of revenue, you can anonymize this, but what share of revenue are you getting at MetaSearch today?
I can answer you that one.
Small, right?
Yes, but I have a counter to that. So you're done.
No, it's small.
It's small.
It's a feature.
Okay, I'll have a counter
to the hotelier, but the hoteliers have no idea what's really originating.
I will not stand on that argument because hoteliers are not aware of what MetaSearch can be.
Holly just said, so small that Dean wouldn't say it last week. Here's the thing. Okay. Don't forget, Expedia owns Trivago, Priceline owns Kayak. The minute MetaSearch gets big, they will just roll those features into... Yeah, I know. Last click, whatevs.
No. I'll let you go. Go ahead.
Most guests do not know the difference between MetaSearch and OTA. Right. It is a different kind of OTA. And the minute that if Kayak was doing really well, Expedia would pull all the Trivago features into Expedia.com because that's where they're getting most of their traffic. And if Trivago were getting big, Priceline would pull all of those features from Kayak into Booking.com. We see it today. Orbitz has actual meta functionality built into the search results. It's a feature. It is a feature. It is not a separate channel.
But I would say
but go ahead.
Partly true.
However, no, entirely true.
No, but not entirely true.
Not said with a fact.
No.
I will point out some facts for you just a minute.
From the OTA meta search in terms of Trivago and Kayak, I completely agree.
Yeah.
You're looking at it from the user experience of what you do. You can select all these things. And you go, wait, Expedia has all this stuff.
Yep.
Or Booking.com has all this stuff, no matter what. So who cares, right? You can just sort, and that's certainly a consumer experience. When I look at true meta search from the model, I look at TripAdvisor and Google.
Yeah, sure,
right?
Sure.
So, with them and how they're going in from a purely ad perspective, independent sort of thing, particularly TripAdvisor now with their booking widget providing subscription subscription revenue stream from the coupon, little code, up in the business listing to CPC and CPA. That's, I think, a fascinating sort of thing. And the problem for the hoteliers is they're getting some of the business and they see, okay, well, this is what came through instant booking direct to me, but they really have and they can see what's coming through the business listing it's coming through there. They can, if they tag it properly, they can figure that out. So that's fine. But on the CPC, they have no idea. There's absolutely no clue because the stuff winds up coming through Expedia. And the stuff that's coming through Expedia and Booking, they don't know if it's originating at Kayak or if it's originating at Trivago or wherever.
Here's the thing. Go ahead, Lord. Go ahead. You should get your say, and then I'll go back.
I'm just going to point out. I'm going to actually use some of your words in my contention of what you've just said.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the reason why there's a disparity between hotel usage and its contribution to that of what OTAs are using, it's almost 1 to 5. The OTAs get benefit from their own product 5 times more than hoteliers. Why? Because hoteliers freaking don't even know what the hell it is anyway.
Actually, wait, one additional thing is the OTAs have a huge advantage because when you're Booking.com and you've got 1 million properties or whatever to pull from, and it doesn't matter whoever, you got 500,000 properties, they got twice as much stuff. So if what you're looking for isn't available or the price point's wrong or whatever, you can replace it with something.
Exactly right.
Which I'm going to go contrary to what you're saying, Tim, is the point of the argument. They're not going to incorporate it into their platforms because they're incestuously bastardizing the very platforms they're using it for. They're cross-channeling their meta on top of meta. They're putting themselves into exactly Robert's point. I can't offer you the hotel you were looking for on my platform or even on this meta platform, but because of my other things in market, I'm going to offer you alternatives to it. And to make another thing that you mentioned, you have referred to that Google was the other meta search in comparison to the size of TripAdvisor, right?
Well, it's another.
Okay, but it's one of the big guys, right? So your argument of how they're going to incorporate it into whatever they're going to do is almost moot because Google won't do that because Google isn't TripAdvisor or Expedia operating Kayak or anything else like this. They're going to do this into what we've always talked about, which is voice activation and integration with the user experience. They're using it for their own method. So it will still exist even in that entity as a meta search platform that won't be incorporated just because now it's worth it to be combined. The real proposition of its contribution is based on lack of awareness, not on its value proposition. Because as Robert pointed out,
awareness to whom?
Hoteliers. The fact that they can connect for themselves to the very clients that they were held in a separate set away from OTAs. Now they can do direct connects to their consumers on these platforms that the OTAs weren't providing them before.
But they don't realize. I want to be really fair. I'm not saying hotels shouldn't use meta search. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying it's not a necessary step along the way. I'm saying realistically, it's not meaningful for most properties. It's not even the properties that are participating. Holly just put it there a second ago. So small that Dean wouldn't say it. The reality is it is a necessary tool. It is not going to fill 80% of your rooms.
Right.
It's not going to fill 20% of your rooms.
No.
It is.
And I think that's the gist of what Cindy's article is that most people don't realize that this is.
No, most people don't realize because consumers aren't using it.
But they don't. Consumers don't know using it.
Well, they are using it like in a TripAdvisor scenario. They don't realize it's meta search. They're looking for hotels,
right? It's
on whatever, and they don't know what the difference is between Kayak and
Expedia.
Or why is Trivago?
It's just a different.
Why was Trivago so hard pushed by into the market?
Easy. All of those strategies from the OTAs is pure customer acquisition.
Absolutely.
Right? Every single acquisition that Expedia's made since the Microsoft days.
Yep.
Travelscape was a little bit of a technology getting into the merchant model, and then later certainly hotels.com. That was more of a USA Networks one that wound up with Expedia. So those were more product type things. But once you got there, all the others, it doesn't matter if it's Venere or Orbitz, Travelocity, they could care less about those brands except they bring in traffic. And in particular case of Expedia for them, the bottom line model was they're bringing a huge number of people buying air tickets, which are not getting monetized by these guys, and they're getting killed. But Expedia could monetize the hotel side.
Which is why I don't think the Expedia would suck that back in again.
Expedia spent, this is from a couple of years ago. This was 2014. Okay. I'm sure I just don't have the updated numbers in front of me. Expedia spent on marketing in 2014 $2.8 billion. And they spent $700 million on technology. Right. They're just trying to grow customer acquisition.
Right. Oh no, that is the game.
But to your point, Tim,
that's why they have Trivago. That's why they have Trivago, because for that platform it was doing pretty well.
Right, but that's why I don't see to your point, Tim, that they're going to absorb Trivago in if it reaches a point of critical mass that it's taking away from their Expedia platform, because in the end it's still contributing to them. And this is
no. I'm saying if consumers, guys, what these guys are driven by, rightfully so, is I'm going to quote a guy I saw at a conference. Robert, you were there. Bill Hunt at the Milestone conference a couple of weeks ago. He said customers are the ultimate disruptors. Right? We talk about disruptive technology. We talk about disruptive industry. We talk about disruptive business, whatever. Customers drive this crap more than anything else. And fundamentally, Expedia gets, I'm going to go out on a limb here, 10 times as much traffic to Expedia.com as they do to Trivago.com. Could be a lot more than that.
Way more than that.
A lot more than that, right?
Hang on, I'll tell you in a second.
Perfect. You can find the compete numbers. You can find, I don't have them in front of me, but it's a lot more, right? Robert, what's the number?
Just a second.
Okay.
I have it off the top of my head.
While you're pulling it up, customers don't care. There's a set of customers who use this. And what I said, I want to be very clear about what I'm saying here. I'm saying that if Trivago suddenly became the top visited site, then Booking.com would pull the Kayak features into Booking.com because they'd want to show, look, we can do everything Trivago does. I'm saying if Kayak suddenly got the kind of traffic that Expedia gets, Expedia would pull those Trivago features into Expedia.com.
Yeah. Oh no, but that's the product management side.
Right. But they're basically saying today this product is of limited value to a limited set of customers, and that's where we're putting our focus. We're focusing accordingly. What's the traffic?
Actually, one little cul-de-sac to hit first is in terms of resource allocation, in terms of your smartest, best people. John Kim, who's kind of the product guru of Expedia, really, really smart guy. He's now the CEO of HomeAway.
Right.
So they put their A-team product guy on HomeAway, which is also interesting for Google, where they've used Oliver Heckman, who is the golden child of YouTube. They've now put him in travel. And I can look at moves like that and say, watch that.
Right, for sure.
But okay, but back to the volume number. These numbers will surprise and shock you, Tim.
Will they?
They will.
Okay.
In September, Expedia, this is similar web numbers.
Yeah, okay. Fine.
Expedia, 58.5 million visits. Okay, that's not unique visitors.
Expedia.com.
Expedia.com, not all the other.
Right. So 58 million.
58.5. Trivago, 21.
Okay, it's still 2.5 times larger.
That's right. Yeah, but still, that's
2.5 times larger.
That's a lot. Now, let's see what Trivago does versus Kayak real quick.
Kayak's going backwards.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Lauren, none of this is meant to say that, metasearch does not have its value.
Yeah. Oh, gosh,
but it's got to have more traction amongst consumers.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
One of the problems TripAdvisor has is most consumers today, most guests still don't think of it as a place to book. It doesn't matter if the technology is there. If nobody uses it, that's not how people think about it. They think of TripAdvisor as the place you go read reviews. And then when I want to book, I either go to Marriott.com or Expedia.com or Booking.com.
But one or Booking.com.
Correct.
Look at, okay, so Kayak's numbers, just so people can know, 31.6 million. So you go, well, what's Kayak versus Booking.com? Booking.com, 291.5 million.
Right. That's 10x.
10x, right?
10x.
On Kayak, on Booking versus Kayak. That's.
Oh, I know Kayak, but I told you Kayak's going back.
I rest my case, Jim.
No, that's exactly.
Okay, but look at Booking versus Trivago. It's 10x.
Sure.
Right.
It's not the volume of the. But this is where I'm saying to you.
I'm sorry. Real quick. This is my microphone.
It isn't. It's not a mic drop. You didn't make the point. It's not the point.
The point is it's tiny.
It's not. I think you're missing the argument. It's not the volume of the traffic of what they represent. It's the functionality. And you even stressed the point that if they were to exceed their parents' volume, that they would be absorbed into the value proposition.
Sure. But what should hotels do different because of that than they're already doing?
Right now, use it for its true value.
Sure.
No. My identity of the true value is not its percentage contribution of revenue. The true value of it is the direct connect to the consumer, because we all see a storm cloud on the horizon where we are going to lose the ability to communicate with our customer.
I'm not disputing this.
No, I'll raise one more point.
Right.
Kayak's traffic is higher than Priceline's by about 1 million.
Priceline.com.
Priceline.com.
Yeah, well, Priceline.com has faded a lot, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because of the name. They killed the name your own price, right? To become express deals like Hotwire. Right. But it's interesting. I think the most interesting meta search thing that's come up was Concur buying Hipmunk.
Sure.
I think that's Concur's doing some very, especially with SAS, above them. Between TripIt. I use TripIt. I didn't really use Hipmunk because I like Hipmunk. I liked what it did, but it just was kind of in the flow. It just wasn't top of mind and that sort of thing. But between TripIt and between Hipmunk and some of these things they're putting together, you start going, they're really doing something for how do you make travel and engagement easier for these customers and to really make it go, which I've got to think they're looking at going, here's simplify it for corporate travel planning and things like that. Here's put in policy, that sort of thing into Hipmunk, fits really well. I think that's going to be a very interesting. We're disrupted. I'm at the airport. The flight's canceled. Where do I stay?
Right.
Here's this. You don't have to get the travel manager involved. You just go. It's within. And all of your expense reporting works.
Actually, just in the interest of time, I'm going to throw Lauren a bone. Lauren, I know that DerbySoft is a client, right?
It used to be. Officially now, not. I'm doing this out of the purity of knowing it now.
So screw them.
Okay, well, no, they're a former client of mine as well. I like DerbySoft. I want to be very clear. I'm going to answer Holly's question, right? Here's my answer to Holly when she said, "Can I expound on this?" Right? Here's the thing. Use DerbySoft or use Cody or use Whip or use SiteMinder. Get connectivity to the meta search. Make sure your inventory is available so that you can bid appropriately. Be on as many shelves as you possibly can. ensure that you have rate parity so that you don't create a problem where people are booking through channels that cost you too much, right? And collectively, all that meta search business is going to help, but it's gravy. It's not the meat and potatoes. It's important gravy. It's gravy we absolutely should do. But until Kayak and until Trivago have the kind of traffic numbers that Expedia has or that Booking.com has, it's gravy.
I agree. Well, you know what? Now you get to Mike, because the point that you make with it is exactly the point I wanted to make, is that the connectivity is the value proposition to it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But going to what Robert's saying, if you're looking at the landscape, like you said, looking at people being shifted into departments that are golden boys and children to what they've done in success with other things, and you look at where all these things like Google Trip apps and now Google's Assistant that you talk to, and Apple's ability to transfer between any of your platforms